Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a brand new video, this time focusing on one of my favorite new characters from the Spawn universe, Monolith. So I saw this guy a few years back and immediately fell in love with his design. Not only is it a great big chunky figure, which is right up my alley, but he also checks off that nostalgia box for me. This guy looks like he should have debuted back in '92 with the original Spawn lineup and stuff. So I told myself then that at some point I needed to add this guy to my collection. So I finally got around and was able to knock out a sculpt, and as you can see, it is a quite large sculpt. In fact, it doesn't completely fit in camera, but I'm not upset about that. I'm happy with the size. I think he looks awesome, and I am really excited to get started painting this guy up. So normally I show you guys the model disassembled, but I thought this time I'd go ahead and show you pre-assembled. Reason being is this will give me one last opportunity to kind of go over him, do a QC pass, and just look for anything that might need to be touched up. If I missed any support marks, or if there's any filler that needs to be sanded, or any overspray that needs to be wiped off, now's the time to do it. You don't want to discover those problems while you're in, or once you get into painting, because sanding acrylic paint isn't all that fun. So fortunately, this guy looks great and he's ready to go. All I really need to do is just take him apart and wipe him down with a little bit of alcohol, and he'll be good to go. So my main goal of this project is I want to try and level up with the skin. I want to try and achieve as realistic skin as I can. I think given the size of the model and how much surface area there is to his body and stuff, I think just doing a basic paint job of base coat, shading, highlighting, stuff like that just isn't going to do him justice. So I've been watching videos from several guys and their techniques and stuff and tips for painting realistic skin, and I'm going to try and implement some of those in this video. So really excited about that. A little nervous too, but I figured, you know what, we're just going to go for it and see what happens. So having said that, I'm going to stop rambling and hop off camera, clean him up or wipe him down real fast, and then come back and we can start blocking in the skin. Okay, so I've got the skin tones blocked in and sealed in a matte clear coat, and it's time to start focusing on the details. Now, I ran across this really cool technique online where you actually try to create blood vessels underneath the skin and stuff, and it looks really, really cool on like normal, what we would call normal skin, human skin, stuff like that. But I wanted to try it on this guy and see what it looks like. Now, I have been doing some practicing. I know I said I wasn't, but I really wanted to make sure I at least gave it a go once or twice before jumping into the build stuff. And I'm glad I did, because apparently not all paints are created equal, and it took me a little bit of time and experimenting to find the right paint solvent combination and stuff. So basically what you do is you mix up your paint. In this case it'll be a red, thin it down to where it's very transparent, almost a wash and stuff, and then brush it on, and then what you do is spray it with something like a 91 or 99% alcohol, and it forces that paint to separate, and it creates this really cool webbing effect and stuff. It looks very much like blood vessels and stuff. Then you come back over with that same base color again and sort of, you know, knock it back, and man, it looks fantastic. It looks real, like I said, it looks really good when you use it on like what we would consider to be, you know, normal skin tones and stuff like that. But with this guy, I wanted to give it a shot just to see what it looks like, and if it doesn't turn out quite the way I want it, who cares? He's an alien. We'll just chalk it up to that and stuff. And at least, if nothing else, it just adds a little bit of breakup to the skin and stuff like that and whatnot. So I'm gonna hop off camera real quick, get everything mixed up, come back, and we'll get started. Start with a mixture of about 60% enamel paint and 40% enamel thinner. Now, the brand I'm using is Tamiya's enamel paints, which, by the way, are kind of hard to find here in the States. I ended up ordering these from Canada, so if anybody knows anywhere I can get these stateside, please let me know. But once I've mixed everything up, I brush it on. Once I've got a nice coat, then I just simply come back and spritz it with isopropyl alcohol. Now, I don't want to saturate the area with alcohol, because then the paint will just run and ruin the effect. Spritz it with just enough to cause the paint to separate, and then let it be. Now, I do have a hair dryer next to me just in case, and I will use it to kind of help speed up that drying process before moving on. And that's basically it. So I'm gonna do the rest of the body real quick, let it dry, and then seal it in a clear coat. So that wraps up the red wash, blood vessel pass, whatever we're going to call it at this point. And you know what? I don't think it looks too bad for my first try. Yeah, it kind of just looks like he bathed in blood, but that'll go away once I start painting over it with the original base coat. So I'm going to do that real quick off camera, and then I'll come back and we can start on the freckles. Okay, so now that I finished up the freckling, I went ahead and dusted over this foot here with the original base color just to hopefully blend those freckles in a little bit more. And you can see the difference between the two already. So this is the foot that I just freckled, and then this is, of course, like I said, is the one that I've painted over again with the original base color. So what I need to do now is go over the rest of the body parts to sort of blend those freckles in a little bit more with the original base color. Then I'll most likely seal it in a clear coat, and then we can come back, do some shading, and then start focusing on details like the mouth and face and stuff like that. So really excited, but I'm gonna hop off camera, do that real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished up the mask and the M on his chest and back, and I'm really stoked with how this guy is looking so far. It's coming along really well. I love the skin. I think it turned out so good, and the white just looks so good against that orange. It pops. It looks really good. So yeah, couldn't be happier with the direction that this is headed in so far. So real quick, I did do a little bit of cleanup around the eyes and a little bit of dry brushing over the white, but for the most part, it's done. So now I just need to paint in the inside of the mouth, of course the tongue, the teeth, paint the skulls on the top of his head. Then I can turn my attention to the straps on his upper arm here, or both arms in fact, and then the pouches on his thigh. And then that should pretty much wrap up Monolith for now, and I can focus on the armor or the metal parts of his design. So I'm gonna hop off camera real quick, get everything set up, and then I'll come back. We'll get started. Alright, so I finished up the face, and yeah, really happy with how it looks. Now, I wasn't happy with the skulls, so I did go back and sort of touch them up and whatnot. Didn't really repaint them, I just sort of went over them with some thinned down off-white paint to sort of even out that dry brush and stuff. So anyways, now that I'm done, I can set him off to the side and focus on things like the thigh pouches and his armband. So I'm going to do just that, and I'll be right back. Time to move on to, I guess this is sort of his armor. I don't really know what to call it other than the metal bits. So that's kind of what we're going to go with. Anyways, you might have noticed, at least with this build, that I kind of broke everything up a little bit more than I normally do. The main reason being is that I just didn't want to have to do a lot of masking on this project. I did a lot of masking on that Voltron project. If you haven't seen that, check it out on my Instagram. And it kind of just burned me out on the process. I've never enjoyed masking, but that one was really a beating. So I decided to try and break this guy up a lot more than I normally do to try and minimize the amount of masking. Now, I will still need to do a little bit of masking on these parts. They're two-tone. There's a darker metal in addition to the lighter metal on these parts and stuff. But yeah, at least I don't have to mask off the hands and the biceps and stuff like that, and the feet and everything to try and paint these parts. So I'm really happy about that. So I need to mix up a little bit of paint for these parts. So I'm going to hop off camera real quick, get that mixed up, and then we will come back in and start blocking in these parts. So give me a minute, I'll be right back. Alright, so we're finally down to the base, and I'm really excited to finally be putting the finishing touches on this build. It's been a fun build, a little frustrating along the way, but nonetheless a really fun build. Lots of stuff that I learned on this project, and I'm really excited to take it across the finish line. So I've got the Omega spawn head here that I need to paint up. I'm going to treat it similar to how we painted up Monolith himself, and then paint the sand, block in the base, paint the logo, and we should be done and can finally put this guy together. So I'm going to jump off camera, mix everything up. I think we're going to paint Omega Spawn's head first, sorry, and then move on to the base itself. So I'm going to jump off camera real quick, get everything mixed up, come back, and we'll get started. For Omega Spawn's head, I'm using the same blood vessel technique as I did on Monolith, only this time I'm using clear green instead, but the process is the same. I thin the paint 60-40, brush it on, let it set for a second or two, and then spritz it with alcohol. Easy peasy. So I'm going to finish up the rest of the head real quick and move on to the rest. Okay, so I finished up the skin and sealed it with a matte clear coat. So now what I need to do is turn my attention to the mask and the horns. But first I need to do a little bit of masking. So I'm going to hop off camera real quick, do that, we'll come back and start blocking everything in. finished with the sand part of the base, and really happy with how this turned out. Honestly, I wasn't quite sure how it was going to look. I was a little on the fence about the freckling and the speckle, or the speckling, whatever you want to call it, for the sand, and I'm not going to lie, I was starting to kind of doubt myself there for a little bit, but I kept going, kept adding different colors, and I think it really turned out well. And then coming back in and adding a little bit of wash to the dirt, or the broken up sand here, and some dry brushing, really finished it off. So couldn't be happier with how this looks. So I've gone ahead and sealed everything in a couple of coats of flat clear. So now all I need to do is mask off the sand, and then I can start painting the logo on the front of the base. And then once I'm finished with that, paint the rest of the base black, and we should be able to seal everything in a final clear cut and call the base done. So I'm going to jump off camera, start masking. I'll come back, we'll get started. Okay, so I finished painting the logo and sealed everything in a high gloss clear coat this time. Now that's important to this next step, because what I want to do now is I want to come in and start painting the base black. Now when I do that, of course, I'm going to get overspray on the logo itself, but again, since I've sealed it in a high gloss clear coat, I'll be able to come back in with some acrylic paint remover and just gently go over the front parts of the logo here with a cotton swab, and it will remove that overspray for me. Then once I'm done, I can finish painting the rest of the base black, paint the skull here chrome, seal everything in a matte clear coat, and then we should be able to call the base done. So I'm going to jump off camera, do that real quick. I may end up painting the black around the logo off camera. It was difficult enough trying just to paint the yellow in camera, so I may do that real quick off camera, then we'll come back and remove the paint. So give me a few minutes and I'll come back and we'll keep going. Now I've shown this process in the past on a couple of projects, but it's been a minute, so I'll go over it again real quick. The gist of this is once I've painted my base coat, I seal it with a couple of coats of high gloss clear, being really careful to not get any runs. Once that's completely dried, I paint the surrounding area with paint, in this case pure black. Now I'm not too worried about the overspray since it's sealed. Once I'm done, I come back with airbrush cleaner and a cotton swab and use it to remove any overspray that I've gotten on the logo. And then once I'm done with that, I'll seal everything in a matte clear coat, and I think we might be able to call this project done. So I'm finished with the base, which means we can finally call this project done, and it has been an absolute blast to paint this guy up from beginning to end. This is one of my favorite characters. I know I mentioned that at the very beginning, but it's absolutely one of my favorite Spawn characters, so I really wanted to make sure I paid extra attention to this guy along the way and stuff. So really happy with how he turned out. I learned a lot, you know, I questioned myself a couple of times during the process, but I powered forward, and again, like I said, I couldn't be happier with how he turned out. So I just need to get him glued up so I can finally put him together. So I'm gonna hop off camera and do that real quick, and then I'll come back for the big reveal. But before I do, please, if you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and until next time, take care everyone.